Sifra Tzniut, also bringing that in, because we have more time. So where I want to start today is on page Mem Zion. It's a little review of something that we saw yesterday. Just reading across the bold print at the top. It's Od Bi'urim Be'inyan Meshluach Manos. So he says the word manos and metanos. We have these two words here. Amar Rabba saying the Zecha v'Shtecha manos the ish echad. So he said the what you have to do is you have to give two different portions to one man. Shtei metanos, and then two gifts though the Shnei of Yanu, the two poor people. So he said so we have to look over this. Lamba b'reihu an manos. Ba'oz tov achas, with only one tov, and then when it comes to giving to poor people, you have to do it twice. So this is what he's talking about. He says, Amna gavar yadam tegera yisod nikra ish. So we're going to work with a pasuk here. Ve'ikar ha'aris yom zeh, who Gilu Yisod Abba Zachar is the male. It's the reveal of the male aspect. V'hi Yosem Maluvish B'Tochanok, when we sewed the Ima. I said that wrong. When it's inside of the Yisod of Ima. So he says L'chein Amber Benos Manos B'Tav Achas. Now let me just see if I got that right. V'hi Yosem Maluvish B'Tochanok Ima. So therefore it's only L'chein. So he said the manos betav achas, since it's hidden inside of ima, so we'll say one. Ki os tav mitzad the nook, because the tav really refers to the nook of what you see as the nook. I think that's the idea. But often ki shtei manos aim echad mitzad abba shahu man. So this is how he breaks it up. And again, we're listening to the words of Rabbi Chaim Vital. He says, "Mitzad Abba Maman, the Manus Kasher Yadata, as we know, ve'echad mitzad the Yisod the Ima Kaniska the El, and one besides her. That would be Man is one, and he says then the Tav goes with the other part, the Vav Tav. Ve'hem Ish who Yisod the Abba, and then it comes like this. They are an Ish, a man, and we know from other places. He said previously that it refers to Abba. The Re'ehu Shuhu Yisod the Zah, but that's the Re'ehu. That's the Re'ehu is Yisod the Zah. I'm not sure exactly how this got into this, so we were talking about the Givui of Abba, and he says, but he wants to say it like this. It said the Ish Shuhu Yisod the Abba, the Ish was the Re'ehu gives to his, sort of like his partner or his friend, Shuhu Yisod the Zeranpin. Ki im hiyos Abba Gadol, says Yaba is so great, if we see it in relationship to that. And also we understand that it's much greater than Zer Anpin. Hiyosach Abiyor, the Malcolm Yisod Zer Anpin. So when it comes there, Nikra Re'ehu. I'm not sure exactly what the symbolism is that is called Re'ehu. Al Derek HaZerash Kashayor B'Yitzira, and it's similar the same way that Zer Anpin, when it moves, and its radiance, we saw this yesterday, moves into Yitzirish and the Emerald Shlaf Ish Nalo, Vanasan the Re'ehu, and he gives it to his neighbor, friend, lover. So that was just an introduction to that, and it seemed a little bit different. So let's see what the next part is. So we're now going to read down below on number Samach Dal. He says, Yisbar Inyan Matanas Levyonim. So let me explain this, he says. And we'll go now to number Samach Dal down below. So he says, the Matanas Levyonim. Okay, let me, before I get into this, I'm sorry, let me do some housekeeping here and go back to the Shefach Levonos, which is on the previous page, page Mem Hey. Where is it? There it is. Okay. And let's see like this. Number Mem Hesi Mitzad Abba Shuhu Man the Manos. It's the first two letters Man, the Manos. F Shalomer Tam Sha'abba Benikra Man. So we could possibly say this. Why would the Abba be called Man? The Manos. The Fi Shamochin the Abba Benikra Tomid Sad Yamin. So what's to say Man goes with the word Yamin. Sad Yamim, of a mochin the abba the crime sad small. So we talk. Excuse me, the ima when the mochin the ima which is on the left side. We of the tevis manus osius man hein b'tzad yamim are on the right side. The horas al mochin the abba shehein b'tzad yamim. So therefore, this is the right side. It's the where it starts. I'm not keen on this one exactly how it ties us up, but he says that man and yamin go together. Vehem ish hu yisod ad abba. So they are the man, which is another word for the yisod of abba. The re'echu shehu yisod is their anpin. Says the drush is b'marchu. This drush is not coming from the marchu. It was put in here. B'korim b'pri eitz chaim. And he said the Maran Mayor. Now I looked this up. He lived in the 1600s, and I think he is the one that actually, from what I read, is actually put together the Eitz Chaim. He called it the Derech Eitz Chaim. Now it's called Eitz Chaim. I think it's what he's talking about. Our Eitz Chaim, put together by Rabbi Meir Papara, and I think that I also saw that it was pronounced Fofiris. He's from Krakow. He's an Ashkenaz. He was in Israel to learn from the Kubalim. He was a big Eloi. So this is the kind of things about this person. So he said, let's go back to Makora Mipri Eitz Chaim, that which was put together and I guess edited by Rabbi Fofiris. The Rishash didn't bring this drush. There's another way to look at it. B'masha kasav harchu la'el shematanis avyon b'hu lachamshach yisod abba l'tzorach binyan anuk. That's what we said. Ve'elu kan kasav, but here it says that heim mochi ha'chochba b'bina the ima. So they're actually the choch b'bina the ima haneknasim b'zer anpen when they go into zer anpen. V'chein the gabe mishluach monos also when we talk about shluach monos. Cause of the ale the nira of the lochushu ha'aram is zer anpen the nuk. It's something from zer anpen into the nuk. V'kan cause of shuhu ha'aras mochi hadas the abba. So here it's saying that it's really the mochi the das the abba. The das the abba ve'imach haniknas b'soch zer anpen. So I think that I'm not sure exactly what he was saying here, but I think he's saying that this is not part of the sequence. It seems to be a different kind of sequence of what it's talking about. It's talking about the Yisod of Abba and Zer Anpin, and then giving from Zer Anpin into the Nukva, but that's not exactly what we're talking about. That's not our subject. So let's go over here to number 64 and try to see if we can keep following it along. So that concept, giving to the poor, so since it comes from the side of Ima there, therefore, and I guess what he was trying to point out over there is that the monos really refers to one tav, and it really refers to what's going on with Abba. Over here, though, he says that when you get into the plural and you have two tavs, he says it's which are giving to the Evyonim, hey mitzad Ima, but the heim shtei tavim, so I'm not sure how this works out together. So let's see what it says. He says mitzvahs matanas the avyonim. So the mitzvah of the gifts that we give to the poor. Romans on his pashtos of mochin the chochbach of bebinda the abba the ima is talking about the pashtos of both the mochin of abba and ima. Bekaviyamim of the small on the two different lines. Now, what is that? Beluvashim benetzav v'hod the abba ve'ima. So that's what's going to generate the two different lines, I guess. And we're talking about the nook here, going into the nook, and that's going to be in the netzach and hob of abba ve'ima coming into the nook. Netzach malvish at sad yamim shuhu chochma chesed netzach and dezah. So when we're talking about they're going into zah now. V'hod malvish ad sad the small shuhu bina gevur and hod the zeranpin. So then it's if you v'hod the ima. When we look at the netzach of hod the ima as they're going into zeranpin malvishim as netzach v'hod the abba the gamre, they completely and totally cover over the yisod of abba. Now we're not on the subject of what's shining out of the Yisod, shining the Yisod of Abba, shining through the Yisod of Ima. Here we're talking about Zeranpin still. So he says, going back, he said, that's a v'chod the Ima, Malvishim and Netzav Hod the Abba, they cover him over completely. V'Abba reina begilui klal, you don't see Abba at all. V'lechein lo merumas kan Abba klal, so therefore there's no reverence to Abba at all. V'nikroim amochim rak al shem ima, and the mochim are called only by the name of ima. V'lechein nichtav kam matanos b'shtei tav, with two different tavs. V'mezid d'shnei mochim b'tzad ima. There's a lot of noise in the background over by your end right now. Is that something can be stopped? So he said, let's go on to number Samachay. So he said, "V'heim shtei matanos the shnei avyonim." These are two different gifts to two different people. Shehem netzach hod, shehem avyonim, which are netzach and hod, and they're considered to be impoverished. Why? Kasher yidata besod ha'arava. Lo, it has no reach, but it has no tam. What does that mean? It's empty. V'nikroim avyonim, and as a result of that, he says that the arava is called or maybe means enetzach and hod in the same manner. He says they're called avyonim. Ki ima ad hod is pashet, because mispashetes. So we have a phrase here that ima is mispashet all the way down to hod. That's on the left line. The nikras avyonim, and they're called, and we're going on this phrase here, they're called poor, super poor. Shehu romas the netzav hod is their anpen nikroim avyonim. Why would they be called avyonim? He said the fish shehem kavayochel avyonim mecha'aros. They're really impoverished from being able to receive the radiance of Abba Ve'ima coming into them. Machmas shekol ha'aros bowls the sham hema mekusas, because all the lights that come into the legs, we're talking about netzach and hod, are always covered over. The netzach hod, the imus stumim belamata, they're closed down. They have no outlet down below. They go down to the legs, all the way down to the feet, and stop. Ve'im sham pesa the yitzias ha'oris l'chutz, and there's no way for the lights to come out. Rak ha'ara ba'alma derek hatzbarnaim, only just a little bit comes out from the nails. V'gam ha'yisod de'ima, also the yisod de'ima, let's just switch over there, so the netzach and hod. Sheyesh lo pesach l'yitziaso, there's the pia ama there, let's say so to speak, and as a result of that, it's possible that the light could come out. Pesach l'yitzias ha'orach avohim begir ad netzach and hod, but it doesn't reach down to the feet, on the legs. The fish yisod de'ima b'stayim b'sof shlish rishon to the fair is because the yisod of ima stops at the chazer. This is what the Zohar says. The ima ad hod is pashetes. It goes down to. Let's say what it means. The ima is spreads out down to hod. Behind hod, the hislav shusach betok zer anpin, that when it's clothed inside of zer anpin, megas rak ad spheres hod, it only reaches to the sphere of hod. It can't go any further down, or its light cannot penetrate further v'locha the yisod and not to the yisod. V'zecha v'gam b'chinas arava. That's the idea of the arava. She'amar Chazal, the Rabbi says she'ein lo tam v'reach. It's missing taste. It has no smell. No scent. V'hi b'chinas netzach v'hod, and that actually is the same aspect of netzach and hod. She'ein b'chem oros megulam. They don't have any revealed lights. For the chem shluch manos hu shtei matanos. So therefore, there have to be two of these. So he said, "Bechidas netzach and hod, the one for netzach, one for hod. Decham yisod Abba ve'ima, that is coming for the yisodas of Abba ve'ima." Let me read again, because I think I said it kindly wrong. She'ein lo tam v'reach. He said, "Vehiba bechidas netzach v'hod she'ein bechem oros megulam." They have no lights that can be revealed. All the lights are closed up in them. V'chem shluch manos. So this concept shluch manos, who b'shtei matanos is with two to them, is with two different gifts. Behind them yisod Abba, so something is coming to them before Abba, and also ve'ima, leish echad, to one individual. Behind the yisod the zer anpin, that is, they're bidding him into the yisod the zer anpin, and betanas of yonim. When we talk about the son of yonim, hey shtei manos, you give two, menetzach v'chod the ima from the netzach and hod the ima, the netzach v'chod the Abba mechusa b'soch ima, because they're closed inside. We give them the shnei of yonim behind the netzach v'chod the zah. Now, exactly what's going on here, I'm not 100% sure, because I thought that the idea, we're dealing with Abba Ve'ima into Zer Anpin. And I thought the main subject here was Abba Ve'ima going into the Nukta Zer Anpin, after an Asira, or after a Dormita, rather. Let's go on and just see if we can, how this picks up. We're going to go to number Samak Vav, or there was a little piece of housekeeping here. There was a small note on page Mem Tes, on number Mem Zion. And he says, the Matanas, the Avyonim, Hey Mitzad Ima. So these are really come from the Ima side that was on number Mem Zion up there. And it says, Asarik Iyun Lama Kosav Shehei Mitzad Ima, the Harech of the Ervid Roshim, Bevor Shematanos, the Avyonim, who are as the Abba. So once again, it's Holon, Bevor al Hagaboy, al Hagaboy Shel Tzedakah, Shuhu Yosef Yisod the Abba, excuse me. And so he says, Elba Shabavosha, Hamatanas the Avyonim, who are as the Abba. So what is the Haras of Abba? Is giving out the poverty, or the food for the monos for the poor. Mivara al Gaboy Shal Tzedakah, it's really returned to the Gabbat Tzedakah, Shahu Yisod the Abba, which has the same form or the same purpose as the Yisod of Abba. Okay, let's go on some more. This is the Yisod Lama Sha'amro Kol HaPoshet Yad, that phrase that anybody who really needs, you give to everybody. So let's look down. We're down here in number Samach Vav. Number Samach Vav says, V'gam Masha Amra B'Senta Zechon V'Rocho. He says, Ki B'mei HaPurim, Nosin to call Misha Poshet Yado. You give to anybody who needs. Anybody comes to you. Why is that? Ha'inyan Hu Ki Hagaboy Shal Tzedakah, which we said before is the Yisod. So the Yisod is going to give out, right? Which we're talking here about the Sod is their Anpin. Sarkler roast the mean noise and the tzedakah, so then you have to look at it. You have to see who you're giving the tzedakah to. That's when you're dealing with the Zer Anpin. But here where you're dealing on Purim with the Yisod, the Abba Ha'ara Gedola, which is a tremendously more powerful light, Ein lahakbid. We're not going to be so strict about who you give your money to. Elakol misha poshet yadach nosnim lo, but anybody who asks, you give. The Purim call it poshet yad nosnim lo. Masha ein derukein v'kol hashana shetzarek the daktek to say the ani harawi. The hagaboy tzedakah, he said, which is makabetz amaus. And gives it to the Ani, who dugmas bechinas Yisod. It's similar to the concept of Yisod. Hamakabetz and Makabel mehachamesh spheres rishonu shal levav. That is, it's similar to the Yisod, which is a pool that receives a base gibel from the other 5 spheres that are up above it. V'nosa the malchus anikra dal b'niya, and he gives it to the malchus, which is poor and impoverished. But there we're talking about the Yisod Zah, that's the way it normally is. Because Zah is always in the position of where the Kali is located. So therefore it's possible you're giving your money into the Kali. And if you're giving it to somebody who's not fit, this will cause in this way the Kali Chashvashon. But when we come to Purim, it's a Doka Misalim. This becomes what the Gebal is. What does he mean, Misalim? V'hem Ata b'Bechid Yisod the Abba, and it changes. The Yisod, he says, let me just say, Misalim usually means hidden. So he said, Geboy Tzedakah, Misalim, V'hem Ata b'Bechid Yisod the Abba, and we now have the Yisod of Abba in the place. Shabel ain't achizah alakali, but there's no achizah the kali there. But Purim ain't sark the daktek, so then you don't have to be particular about what you're giving to them. The notion to call it poshet yad, and you give it to everyone who extends his hand. Number Samach Zayin. And so it goes on the idea Sod Inyan Chayev Inish. What does that mean? Mash Amra B'Senda Zerana V'Racha Chayev Inish the Besumi Papuria. Now this interesting phrase, Besumi the Papuria, until you really can't tell the difference between the two. He says, so we understand this. Every klipa has something that keeps it alive, which is kadosh. Ha-meir b'tocha, it shines within the klipa, so, and it brings life to it. So therefore you have to say this phrase, Baruch Haman. The hamshech on the nitzach haku, or that little spark of light that's keeping the kali alive. We're trying to reach that during Purim. So he said, let me explain the secret of this. You have to drink wine in Purim until you don't know the difference. What's pshat over here? So that it'd be a mistake if you said Baruch Haman, and that's what we're worried about. He yosem ku memakro hachayim yizbarach shemo al yedech v'nitzutzecha kedusha. So he said, let me read this again. He yosem ku memakro hachayim, which is yizbarach shemo. They all come from the Ein Sof. Al yedech v'nitzutzecha kedusha chashanaflocha v'yardo. This is the as we know in the Rapach Nitzutzim. We're talking about the Nitzutze kedusha fall into Bia. And they're found there, and they keep them alive. So we nitzutzes kadoshas, I guess. By the way of saying Baruch Haman, you say that you're bringing shefa down into that nitzutz, a kedusha that's trapped by Haman. The bracha, he lashon hamshacha, because the word bracha, he says, is the concept of flowing like a stream. He says the bracha, he lashon hamshacha. So shemamshichem aras the nitzah shebetoch haman. That nitzah that was we're trying to do shehu b'bechinas akali. That you can do all of that during Purim. So what he's saying here. Number Samaches. Samaches goes on the other Hatam Shabaruch Haman Sarach Lomer below Kavanas Daika, but you have to say this without Kavana, without trying to say you really want to bless him. What does that mean? V'lechein Sarach Lomer below Kavana. You have to say this without Kavana. Another, what would be the Kavana that you're trying to pull the nitzitz of Kedusha out of Haman? So he said the Lomer Kavana Achash who Shikor of a Yata Medato, and it just comes out because the person's drunk. So if he wants to say that, this will actually affect the klipa and start the klipa to get more light. Amnam, more energy. Amnam im yomer came shadocha b'shas shichros ela b'kavana, so you're not drunk. And you say it, the kavana is to try to, what we said, sweeten or bring out, pull back, let's say the kedusha that's within the tumah. Yochel hashefa lehimasha chasvas galim ala kali ba'atva, so that you have also the shefa has to be extended down, God forbid, ala kali ba'atva, to the kali themselves. V'locha rak ala nitzach hakadosh above. So the v'chein chayev inish the besumi, so therefore a person has to get himself a shtickle drug. So that's when you can specifically say that Haman is Baruch. So then that will affect that and will only go to the place the nitzahs of Kedusha. So let's see if we can get another one in here, number Samach Tes. Near the Nias Daiti, he says. So when we start to extend down or start to flow down the Muach Habina into Rachel, that we drink a lot of wine, as we say, that's what it does. Yesh ARI, because we say it's shas yak, yud k, and then this refers to those mochim. Yesh ARI there's a tremendous amount of light here. Sheyesh b'cha b'koch la'oyer gam el hanitzot, so you have the ability to even shine into that nitzotz, halku asher b'socha klipa. So this is what the shtia does. It's saying now, she'ikar hamshachas ha'or el hanitzot shebetoch hakale hu al yedei amiraso is how by his saying, the person saying, Baruch Haman, Baruch Haman. Let me see, we got that. There we go. So the Talmud, I don't know who he means, the Talmud Shal Rav, and he's talking about Rabbi Chaim Betal, maybe he's talking about Shmuel Betal, don't know. Shekos of Devarim, this is where they wrote this down. So he says, Shein acham shacha al yedecha hamira. The mirror itself, you say Baruch Haman, that's not what does it. But that's really what caused this hamshacha, the light, to actually penetrate the klippa. You don't have to say that at all. This goes like this, that through drinking, or muach habina v'rachel, we're able to flow down, start to stream down, or muach habina v'rachel into rachel. And as a result of that, it really caused a tremendous amount of light. Or because of this amount of light, it has that ability. Now, I think that we're out of time. So that'll be it for today. Thanks so much for learning with me. Kol Tuv.